So, Sarah, if someone is listening to this podcast and is like, "Oh God, Sarah, I have an exam coming up in a couple of days. How early is too early to start prepping, and how should I prep?" And we can use like example subjects, like if it's math as opposed to
Yeah.
something memorizing. What would you say?
Yeah. So I think always a good starting point is about not to study from a month, but kind of understand your exam topics a month before. This doesn't have to be you sitting down studying, but just to have a general idea of what you're going to be putting yourself into in a few weeks, possibly. And I think it all comes kind of down to time management as well. I'm sort of talking more about now, like reducing stress when it comes to that exam period.
Mm,
But for the actual, because I think that also helps with productivity at the time and memorization. But for actual applying your knowledge to the exam, we'll say for maths, I guess maths is huge just for practicing questions. There is no kind of memorization involved unless you have to do memorize a formula, memorize a formula or stuff like that. But when it comes down to the actual questions, you have to just practice, 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 practice. And that's where you can get hold of, practice exams or questions online. Even if you just message or email your teacher, they're always so happy to help with that thing, or they can even point you in the right direction to get, the questions that you need. With something like science or something with more concept-based stuff with memorization, I would say I think that note-taking method that you mentioned earlier with if you're taking notes, just make questions from them.
mm,
Or usually the subject will have learning outcomes that come with them. And that is sort of the expectation of what the teacher needs of you for the topic, if that makes sense. So even from those, you can make questions and then formulate your notes to surround those, because usually those learning outcomes are taking components from each part of the topic and then combining them to apply that knowledge into a question. So if you already do that beforehand and put all that information together to answer like a broader question, then I think that's such a good way to answer those science specific topics, because usually, they take lots of bits from everywhere and put it together and ask you a question. And so that's one thing. And then I would say also the flashcards. Anki is just awesome for that with spaced repetition. Just, you make the flashcard and then you can revise it after a few days, or depending on how hard you found that particular flashcard, you can revise it and revise it and revise it. And that's how memorization works, right? You just have to keep sort of going at it. But with Anki, it's good. It separates the flashcards that you found easy from the flashcards you found hard. So you're not wasting your time memorizing the easy ones that you already know. You're kind of
mm.
focusing on what you don't know. And I think that also really, really helps, because sometimes I feel like when we study, we're going from start to bottom, right? And usually the start is kind of the easier
For
introductory type
sure.
stuff. And when you get to like the middle or the end, it's more the harder stuff. And then you've lost energy. You don't want to study anymore. You're kind of sick of it. And so I think with Anki, you can sort of rearrange how that sort of works. You go from sort of hard to easy.
Mm.
Or
Now, how do you spell that, Sarah? Sorry to interrupt. How do you spell that, Anki?
Anki.
Anki. Beautiful. Awesome. Sorry about that. Please continue.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's a desktop app for free. However, it is paid, I think, on a phone. But I've been recommending people use Quizlet or something like that for the phone,
Mm.
because
Quizlet.
it's annoying because you're always on your phone. It'd be good to like just memorize while you're out and about and stuff like that. But yeah, that one is paid. But yeah, I just think Anki is like life changing for me personally. I know a friend that he used Anki a few days before a neurology exam, like a huge exam, and he
Mm.
ended up doing really well because he literally just used
Wow.
Anki. He made all the flashcards in a night, and then he just went through them and just did all the hard ones that he found, and the ones he knew he just skipped over, and then that just reduced the time and maximized the actual effort, like the efficacy. How would I say that? Yeah, the actual
I get
memorization.
what you mean. I get what you mean.
Yeah,
Totally.
thank you.
No worries. No worries. Good. 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 Awesome.
But
Anki.
yeah, the essay type. Oh, sorry. I would just want to add one thing about like
Please.
essay-based exams. That one I have not too much experience in, so I can't really say too much about it. But I've heard mind maps help really well with
Mm.
essay type topics, and thinking about how the topics come together and stuff like that. So yeah.
Totally.
And I guess it depends on what type of learning you are. I think Anki is really good with visual because you can add in photographs really quickly and just hide
Mm.
certain aspects of it. So then you can like memorize, like if it's a label or something pointing, you can just memorize that. So it's, yeah, Anki is amazing.